Batteries and hydrogen cells. Getting ready. In class today, you learned about batteries as a source for electrical energy. What kind of batteries do you know of? As you read, think about where batteries get their energy and how this information about batteries helps you understand why some things stop and others keep going. Where does electricity come from? All matter is made of different combinations of atoms. All atoms contain particles called electrons that are even tinier than the atom. They are too small to see with even the most powerful microscope. Since all materials are made of atoms, there are electrons everywhere. Electrons are in the water you drink, the air you breathe, the food you eat, and every kind of matter that you touch. In some materials, such as metals, these electrons move easily from one place to another. These materials are called conductors. In other materials, called insulators, electrons cannot move freely. Examples of insulators are wood, rubber, glass, and some plastics. Why do you think electrical outlets are made of plastic? This is because plastic is an insulator, so you will not get a shock when plugging in an appliance to an outlet. On the other hand, people use copper and aluminum cables to carry electricity to homes because they are good conductors. The chemicals your battery used were magnesium and iron. When you put these materials together, a chemical reaction happened. When a chemical reaction happens, atoms rearrange to form new substances. In this process, chemical energy is transformed into other types of energy. The chemical energy in the battery was transformed into electrical energy. This electrical energy allowed the electrons to move from one place to another in a conductor. This motion of electrons is called electricity or electrical current. The detector that was connected to the battery detected the electrical current. AA batteries. In Activity 9.1, an electric motor ran when a AA battery was connected to it with wires. A AA battery is made of a carbon rod, a zinc can, and a chemical between them. The following diagram shows how electrical current flows through the wires from a battery to the motor and makes it run. This is called a closed circuit. The red arrows show the direction of the electrical current. Look again at the diagram. When you connect a AA battery in a closed circuit, a chemical reaction happens inside of it. The chemical reaction lets electrons flow from the carbon rod to the zinc can through the chemical separating them. From the can, the electrons flow out from one side of the battery into the circuit and come back to the battery at its other side. From there, they return to the carbon rod. When the electrons go through the motor, their electrical energy is transformed into three types of energy: kinetic energy, which makes the motor run, thermal energy, which makes the motor warm up, and sound energy, which makes the motor hum. What energy transformations do you think occur in an electric circuit consisting of an electric motor and a battery? Electric motor, battery. As long as there is a closed circuit and a chemical reaction in the battery, electrons will be driven to flow through the circuit and transfer energy to the motor. When the chemicals start being used up, it becomes harder and harder for the battery to provide the same amount of energy to drive electrons around the circuit. This is why a motor will not run as quickly with a used battery as it does with a new one. Once the chemicals inside a battery are gone, people call it a dead battery because it is not able to produce electricity anymore. Why do you think a D battery lasts longer than a AA battery? Batteries and our environment. Batteries are simple and convenient to use, but they have some big drawbacks. One of these drawbacks is that their chemicals are often poisonous and can pollute the environment. This means that it is important to get rid of used batteries in a way that does not endanger the environment. Using rechargeable batteries instead of regular batteries can help some. The advantage of rechargeable batteries is that they can be reused instead of just throwing them away. Rechargeable batteries are expensive, but their chemicals are also poisonous, so using rechargeable batteries does not completely solve this environmental problem. Hydrogen cells are another way to use chemical energy to generate electricity. Hydrogen cells are environmentally very clean. They can be used over and over again and do not use poisonous chemicals. Small fuel cells can power electric cars. Large fuel cells can provide electricity in out-of-the-way places where there are no power lines. Portable fuel cells are being used to provide power for laptop computers and some cell phones. Hydrogen cells operate similar to a regular battery. They also use chemicals to generate electricity. Unlike a battery, however, a hydrogen cell does not run out of chemicals or require recharging. It uses an external chemical, hydrogen, rather than internal chemicals to generate electricity. The cell continues to work as long as it is supplied with hydrogen. A hydrogen cell consists of two metals sandwiched around a chemical, just like in a battery. However, unlike a battery, no electric flow will be generated unless hydrogen passes over one of the metals and oxygen over the other. The oxygen comes from the air surrounding the battery, but the hydrogen is supplied from a fuel tank. A chemical reaction occurs that pushes electrons through an electric circuit connected to the hydrogen cell. This chemical reaction also combines the hydrogen flowing over one metal with the oxygen flowing over the other metal to form water. What are the similarities and differences between a battery and a hydrogen cell?